So it's Windows 8.1 update, a few little tweaks coming on here. First we're going to go get the update. We simply go over to settings, change PC settings, update and recovery, and you'll see that if you take a look and say view details or check now, say view details, you should already have it there. It's just not automatically checked for you. So we're going to go ahead and install the update from here. We're going to select it, and by the way, you may, I'm just unchecking other stuff so we don't have any complications during the install. So we're going to go ahead and run the update, and it's going to go a lot slower than what you see here, that jump right there, because I cut out some of the time it took to do the download, and also it's going to take a while to do the actual updates later on, but eventually your system will reboot. So we're going to jump to the end here. Well, actually, we're going to jump to the point where it's done downloading your updates, and we're going to go ahead and start the install. And again, this takes quite a while to do the installs, uh, and eventually you'll get the screen that says, "Hey, we're ready to go." So eventually, after all this, you'll see the reboot screen in Windows 8.1, and it'll automatically restart in one day, like you said there, if you don't restart now. So we're going to go ahead and restart, and you'll see it do the normal update stuff, and then eventually you'll be in Windows 8.1 after the reboot. So here we are at that one. The most obvious new feature you'll see up here is a couple new buttons. You'll see the power button, which is the sleep, shutdown, and restart buttons that you're used to seeing down at the settings. They're now a little bit more accessible, which is a nice feature. It's a nice little tweak. You usually have to go down here to site settings, as you know, and access that feature here. So you can retrain yourself to do it. They didn't take it away, so that's good because maybe you're in the habit of doing it down there now. You can get in the habit of having it up there. It's a nice little quick feature. Now you see here I've started typing without having to click on anything, because the other feature we're going to talk about is the new search button. And the search button there, you just click on it and the search bar comes up. The same thing as happens if you would just start typing. Not a unnecessary tweak from my standpoint, but a nice one for those people who want to see that search button up there. Now the next tweak is actually a really nice one. And when you would configure a tile on your start screen, you used to have to come down here when you clicked on it, and you still do if you have to do touch, by the way. But now if you right click on it, you'll see that you say unpin from start, unpin from taskbar, do whatever you have set up, turn live tile on off. All your features are there. You don't have to go down to the bottom down here in order to do it. Which is a very nice way to do it. You can work on multiple ones this way without having to go up and down the screen to do it. Now I've done it with my finger now. It's a touch, so I'm doing it with touch, and you notice it still uses the way it was before. With touch, it uses the taskbar at the bottom. When you right click with a mouse, it's the new way. But if you do it with your finger on the touch screen, you have to use the bar at the bottom. There is no right context menu on the tile. And same thing about editing, by the way, the groups and everything at the top is that you can, this way as you see the edit bars up there, to do the groups. That's not the way it does with the mouse. Because right here we can just sit there and highlight it and do it right there and do it from there. With the mouse, if you right click, it doesn't do it. You have to click somewhere else on the screen and say name groups. Anywhere on the screen that's not being used, and you can do your editing from there. Slight difference, a little bit of inconsistency, but in order to accommodate the new changes, they had to do something like that. Now there were some of us who couldn't quite get the drag to close feature. I know my 82-year-old mother-in-law couldn't get that, so on her Windows 8 PC. But you notice now if we go into like a program like Flickster and we click on it to launch it, you'll see now that it has a little bar up top. And it has a minimize and a close button. If you click minimize, it puts it off to the side, up into the regular Windows 8 area over here as a still running program. If you click on close, of course, it would close. Now you can still drag from the top down. You can still do it. Oh, by the way, you can get it back by hovering your mouse up there, and that bar drops down. Again, if you click on it, it closes there, or you can drag it down the way that the new Windows 8 does. Now, if you notice, when I closed that program, we went to the desktop, and that's the same thing as when you boot, you go to the desktop. Well, I don't like that. I like going to the start screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change those settings. And that's because most of the applications I use nowadays are now the Windows 8.8 applications, not them. But if I go here and I go to the control panel, and I come over here to appearance and personalization, and click on the taskbar and navigation section of the control panel, and you'll see that here's the instructions on how to do these configurations. Now there's different configurations here to do what you need to do as far as that goes, and you'll see that there's the usual stuff here. But also here in the navigation says is that the same stuff about pointing to the upper right corner and upper left corner is things to do. But what's important to notice here, and then I've already unchecked it, but it says when I sign in and close the screen, go to the desktop instead of start. So when you sign in or close an app, you go to the desktop. And I've unchecked that because I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go back to the start screen. That's my preferred method. Now there's a bug already, okay? There is a problem with this, is that even if we go over all these different things here, but the problem really becomes is when you're trying to go there, it doesn't actually do what it says. That's because right here, the show the Windows Store apps on the taskbar. That's not really what that function is. That one is actually the one about going to the desktop, because if you click on one of these, okay, and we close it, I go to the desktop. Okay, even though I had already changed the navigation. But now if I take that off and I say apply that change and I go back here and I bring up an application and okay, sorry, Flickster, don't bother me right now. If I go up here and I do up here, I go click and I close. Now I go back to the start screen. So actually there's a little bug in the control panel that shouldn't say what it says. So I've done this on three different systems, two desktops and one laptop, and it works all the same. So if you really want to do it to where you want to go to the desktop, you need to unclick that there. Because Windows Store apps will still appear on your taskbar, and we're going to cover that in a minute. But first, one more little thing about the closing of applications. And I've set this back to standard setup that would come with Windows 8.1. You'll see we have the minimize and the close button. And we hit minimize, and it goes back over here to the of course, but it's going back to the desktop because I, again, put it back at standard, but that's not what I wanted to do. But watch what happens when I do that. Okay, so we're going to go back over here. We're going to close the application and go back to the control panel. And we go here and we're going to turn this off. So show that and say OK. Back at the start screen, we click on a program like Flickster, and you'll see up here there's no bar that's appeared. It didn't start up with a bar showing. It suppresses it. And then you notice there's no minimize button as well. There's only the close X, and that's it. That's a bug. I understand what they're trying to do here, but they didn't quite implement it correctly. A little surprising, but it's not a big deal, but it's a deal that they need to fix. Now, to make sure it just wasn't an application, I decided to test that with several different ones, and like demonstrate here, I chose it with Gas Buddy, for example, and it does the same thing. If you click on Gas Buddy, you'll notice that it comes up. There's no bar, no close button, or no minimize button as well. So that's that feature. Now on to one of the features I think is really the best, one of the best features of the new Windows 8.1 update is able to pin these to the taskbar. Now as you saw in the control panel, we can pin things down here. Now this happens to be running right now, so I need to close this one. So we'll go ahead and close that down. But it's still there because it's pinned to the taskbar, which is an important thing to understand. So you can go to any one of these applications here. There's a Windows 8 application, and you can right-click on it and say pin it to taskbar. So if we come over here and we right-click on IMDb, say pin to taskbar, and we'll go look over here at the desktop. Sure enough, there's IMDb on the taskbar. So it's very nice to have that there. So you don't have to go back to the start screen necessarily if you have your favorite programs down there. So we'll go ahead and do a whole bunch of these. I'm talking a bunch because I wanted to show you guys what happens when you do more than the taskbar can hold. But I want to go back to the control panel to show, just to make sure everybody's clear on the confusion by that bug, is that if I go taskbar and navigation, and I go over here and I bring up the navigation, that show Windows Store apps, they'll show up anyways, even if it's unchecked. They'll be down there. You can go ahead and put stuff on there. It's okay. That's not what that function do. That function actually is the one that controls whether or not you go to your desktop or not. So remember that. So with that, let's go back to here, and we're going to go ahead and put a bunch of icons on the taskbar. So here we go. I'm going to right-click on a bunch of Windows 8 apps, and I'm going to say go ahead and pin them and pin them and pin them, and we're going to go out there and pin them all to the taskbar, as many as I think I need to do, and then we're going to go back to the taskbar. Now remember, you only should pin to your favorites, your ultimate favorites, the ones you want to use when maybe while you're over there. You know, the 5 or 6 or 7. You can do more. As you can see here, I've got like 20 of them or 15 of them down there. Some of these are running applications though. They're not just also just the ones like that can be a little confusing as well. But the idea here is that you can put as many as you want. And we're going to add even more to see what happens when we put too many for it to hold. Because what happens is it shrinks it down to a point, but after a point it cannot store anymore and it creates rows on your taskbar, and you need to realize that. So that's what I've done here. I've got a whole bunch I skipped past here, but I'm putting the last couple ones on here. Pin the taskbar, and we're going to go back and look at our desktop. And if we go look at our desktop, and sure enough, you see down here on the right, there's a little icons here for rows. And I click, I go to the second row. And I click up, I go to the other row. So there's actually, it'll do rows upon rows if you want to put them all there. That can be a little bit confusing as well. But one of the things you might want to be able to do is configure this one more time. So back to the control bar, and here we are. We're going to go ahead and unlock the taskbar first of all. So I can drag it up, and look, I can widen it into 2 rows. I can have multiple rows. So some people who like a lot of icons and want to keep their desktop clean, they could have all their Windows 8 apps or regular apps here. You can do whatever apps you want and everything down here. Again, some of these are running applications, so you have to be careful. And you can also auto hide it. So click on your desktop, there it disappears, it's out of the way. You hover by near the bottom, it pops up for you to just jump there instead of the start screen. I like the start screen, but some people like this, and that's what Microsoft has done. It's made it palatable for both people, people that like both. So if we leave it like that, then you get sort of the best of both worlds. Now, besides that, you can come over here and also do other things with your bar. Of course, to remove things, all you have to do is go to your icon on your start screen, or you can go directly here on the taskbar down below. You just hover down here, you right click on an icon and say unpin that, boom, they all slide over. And unpin that one and unpin that one. You can do all that. And I was going to try and get this back down to 1 row. By the way, you can also rearrange them by grabbing an icon and clicking on it and sliding it somewhere else. So you can do whatever you want with that. So you get the arrangement you want to have and everything. But see, that's the running program, that program, screen capture program. Running programs are highlighted. As you can see, the control panel is the same way. Is that they're a little glow a little bit. So, and then if you hover over them, you see the program. So don't confuse those with your applications. Again, just move them around, do what you want with them, and make the taskbar, configure it the way you like so it operates for you. For those of us like the start screen, we still have the start screen, or you can do a little bit of both. One last interface feature of Windows 8.1 update is down here. You have this arrow down here which shows you your installed programs. And Windows 8 used to just install icons automatically. 8.1 didn't install them on your start screen. You had to go here and find them. And you can, of course, sort this by date install. But what 8.1 does is it allows you to find and recently installed programs a lot easier. So let's go out to the store to demonstrate that. So I'm going to go over here to the store, and let me get over here to games. And we're going to go look at some games over here. And you know what, I'm going to go Tetris is probably a good one. I'm not going to review the actual application, but just the functionality of what happens when you install a new program. Oh, that's not Grand Theft Auto. So let's just go over here and install Tetris. So we're going to go look at it and say OK and say install. And I install that, and of course it does the normal functionality where it shows it's installing. Okay, this is a question about my credit card. I'm not going to put an account in just yet. So anyways, do all that. So there it is, it's installed. So if I go over here, if I close this down and go back to the desktop, you'll see that of course it's not here on the desktop, but down at the bottom it says 20 new apps installed. Now it says 20, I only installed 1. Well, it shows that anything would reach a time frame. Could be about a week, I'm guessing, is about what it is, because it says earlier this week, and then last month, of course, it doesn't have it. So anything that says new, you can easily find the application that you just installed this way, because it notifies you that it's out there. So then you would go find the application and right-click on it and put it on your desktop where you want to have it. You just go over here and you'd right-click and say, put it on the Start menu. You can actually install it to the taskbar as well. So that's the last of the features for that. Okay, that's Windows 8.1 update. Some nice features. The things that I like the new power button location and a couple other little tweaks. I do like the new taskbar where you can put a couple select Windows 8 applications back there. I'm setting back to default so I can go to the start screen, but you can have it boot to the desktop. Not a great lot of updates. There are other updates underneath, but as far as the interface goes, these are the ones you need to be aware of and what's going on. So enjoy it, configure it, make it your own, and have fun with Windows 8.1 update. And don't forget to subscribe to Old Guy Geek. Have hundreds of videos out there, and we're adding more every day.